Asihlaleni phansi bandla.
Let's take our seats.
Angibonge kakhulu
Let me show gratitude,
Baba Bishop.
Bishop,
Angibonge ithuba onginika lona
the
namhlanje
opportunity
ekseni
that you are giving me this morning
ukuba ngibe khona kule nkonzo
that I
enkulu
may
kangaka.
visit this large congregation.
Ngibingelele bonke abefundisi abakhona.
Let me greet the whole clergy that is in the house.
Ngibingelele futhi nama comrade engihamba nawo.
All the comrades that have come with me today.
Ngithi sijabula sonke kuba nani namhlanje.
We are all jubilant to
Enkonzweni.
be with you today in service.
Ngifike lapha ngaphambi kwayizolo.
I arrived here a day before yesterday.
Ngize ngomsebenzi wami
I came through my work,
okuzokhankasa
that is to canvass
lapha eWestern Cape
here in the Western Cape.
ngoba sekusondele ithuba lokuthi
This is because the time has come close to
kube khona ukhetho likazwelonke.
that the national election has now come.
Mina ke baba mfundisi
Therefore, Pastor,
ezombusazwe
when it comes to governing the country
kanye nenkonzo
and the church,
ngiyasihlukanisa kancane hayi kakhulu.
I always separate them just a little bit, not too much.
Lezo zombusazwe okuthiwa ipolitiki zaqalwa amakholwa esikhathini esidala.
And the politics were founded and started by Christians or believers long time ago.
Umehluko ke awumningi phakathi kwazo.
The difference between faith and politics is not that vast.
Abakholwayo
Those that believe,
basuke behlonipha imithetho kaNkuluNkulu
they out of their respect for the laws of God
belindele ukuthi njengoba belapha emhlabeni
and understanding that while they are still on earth,
kufanele benze konke okuhle
they have to do all that is good
ukuze ngamzukwane sebehamba
so that when others leave
beya kubaba ezulwini
and they go to heaven,
bafike bathole indawo yabo ivulekile yokuhlala ngokuphumula nangokuthula.
so that they may get a space for peace in heaven.
Abezepolitiki zombusazwe
The politicians of governing a nation,
baxoxa indaba zala emhlabeni.
they are here to debate the issues for them.
Ngokomthetho kufuneka ukuthi babe ngabantu abaphatha izwe, baphatha abantu kahle,
According to
abantu
the law,
babenze ukuthi bahlale ngokuthula emhlabeni.
according to the law, they are supposed to debate issues, take good care of people and care for people so that there can be peace in the land.
Ziyahlangana ke lezi zinto ayihlukene.
And so these things all of a sudden come together. They are not so different after all.
Okokuqala nje ngaqala ngaba yikholwa mina.
To start with, I myself became a believer.
Ngakhula ngiyikholwa futhi.
I grew up as a believer.
Na namhlanje ngiseyikholwa.
And even now, I am still a believer.
Isakhula ngimncane
As I grew up, well, I was younger.
ngangifisa ukuthi uma sengikhulile ngibe umfundisi.
I always wished that if I grow up, I could become a pastor.
Uma ngena umfundisi ngibe uthisha.
If I could not become a pastor, then I would become a teacher in a school.
Uma ngena uthisha ngibe ummeli.
Then if I happen not to become a teacher, I may be a lawyer.
Angikwazanga ukwenza konke lokhu.
I couldn't do the others.
ngenxa yesimo.
It was because of the conditions and the situation I grew up in.
Ngazibona sengumbusazwe kwezombusazwe.
I then saw myself being a governor or a president over a
Konke
country.
lokhu kumina kwakukhuluma ngokuthi kufanele thina esinezifiso ezinjengalezo
All,
sibaphathe kahle abantu bakaNkuluNkulu.
all this then meant to me that this meant that we who has all those desires should treat God's people in a dignified manner.
Namanje angikuhlukanisi lokho.
And even till today, I have not really separated these things. I don't.
Ngiyafisa ukuthi ningizwe nje kanjalo,
I do wish,
ningithathe kanjalo.
I do wish that you, feel
Angiyona
that
enye
way.
into.
You don't even treat me in a different way. I'm not anything different.
Nalolu hambo lungilethela
Even the journey that has brought me here to this podium,
eCape Town.
to Cape Town,
Luyinto eyodwa kulezinto esengiyishilo.
it is one thing among the things that I've already spoken of.
Isifiso sami
Therefore, my
ukubona
desire
abantu bakaNkuluNkulu bephila ngendlela efanayo, ngendlela ephilayo, bephethwe kahle, bengahlupheki.
is to see the the people of God living equally, treated well, and not living in poverty.
Kungijabulisile ke baba Bishop ukuthi uthi namhlanje sengiqedile umsebenzi bengiwenza la sengihamba
Therefore,
ngiya enkandla.
therefore it has given
Ubusuthi angizodlula ngithole isibusiso esingaka ngibe namakholwa angaka phambi kwami. Ngizizwa sengiphile nangaphakathi.
It gives me joy that you invited me to this house.
Ngenkathi uthi
When you said
uzobusa esontweni namhlanje
you'll be in church
ngikwakho
today,
izolo.
when I was in your house yesterday,
Uthi ngoba sengiqedile ngikwenzayo ngingadlula yini enkonzweni na.
when you said, now that you are done with everything you are doing, would you pass by a church?
Mina bengicabanga ukuthi hayi sodlula nje enkonzweni endlini enqanyenyana.
I thought it was
Uke.
just going to be a smaller house, of a church,
Ungithandazele
and then you just lay your hand on
ungenza
me,
ukuthi ngihambe nami ngizizwe ukuthi hayi kumnandi la.
and then make me feel like I also enjoyed coming here.
Bengazi ukuthi kanti ungibizele esizweni sonke
I didn't
sengaka.
know that you called me to a whole nation.
Ngifuna ukukubonga
I want to say thank you to you.
ngoba noma ungangitshenanga ukuthi ibandla lakho lingakanani.
Even when you did not tell me how big
Sengizibonele
your church is,
ngosini.
I've now seen it myself.
Ngifuna ukubonga ngoba ngale kokuningi
I'm so grateful because
ubukhona bakho ukusitshena ngendlela yokukholwa
you teaching us
nokuthi
how
kufanele ukuthi izwe libe njani
and how the nation should be,
silungiselele kanjani insuku zethu zokugcina.
and how to prepare for our last days.
Lokho ke abakhona lapha amakholwa
Therefore, the believers that
ngeke
are sitting
kulindele
here,
ukuthi kuphume kumina.
they will never expect
Alindele
that
ukuthi
to come
kuphume
from.
kuwena
They will expect
ngoba
that
wena
message
ukwazi
to come from you,
kangcono.
because you are the one who knows it better than me.
Sengizwileke inkonzo mina ngizwe ingoma ezimnandi.
I've heard these great hymns you have sang already.
Le ugcine ngathi wenhliziyo yami awuhlakaniphe
And may you
ingithinte
have more wisdom.
enhlizweni. Sengisuthi
My spirit,
ngokwezwi lenkosi
according to the word of God.
ngeke ngilambe ngoze kushona ilanga impela koze kuse nakusasa.
I wouldn't hunger now because
Satshena
my
abantu
spirit
ukuthi
is full of the
ngesuthi izwi lenkosi.
I'm full of the word of God.
Okwami ke
And now
njengoba ngishilo bazimbili into ihlukene
there are two things that are seemingly different.
engikhokha ngakho lento enhle kangaka.
What makes me
Kuzibongela
praise
nje.
this is to just say thank you.
Ilokhu kokuphila emhlabeni okuthiwa kubuswa kwezwe.
This is to say governing over the nation.
Ngiyafisa
I do therefore desire
ukuthi ngenza isicelo nje sincane
as I ask
emakholweni akho
to all
nakuwena
believers,
mbishop.
to yourselves and the other bishops,
Thina abantu abamnyama
we people of color or black people,
sakhiwa uNkulunkulu ngoba esithanda.
God made us because he loves us.
Wasibeka ezweni laseAfrika elinakho konke okudingekayo.
And he put us in the continent of Africa that has all things that all men would need.
Ayikho into esingathi siyayidinga singahamba siye kwamanye amazwe siyoyifuna, yonke into ila eAfrika.
There is nothing that we could say we want in other nations. All things are already here in Africa.
Wayesesakha kahle uNkulunkulu ukuthi asenze sibe nezinhliziyo ezinhle, sibe nothando,
And therefore God gave us good hearts and love,
nokuthi sihloniphe nezinye izizwe.
and to respect each other and respect
Ingakho
other
nje
ethnicities.
Singazange sibsuke la eAfrika siwele ilwandle ezahlukahlukene siyohlupha abantu eindaweni zabo noma siyofuna izinto kubona.
This is
Sasihlalele ngokuthula.
This is why we never went to other continents to go take their things and desire their things. We were living here happily and in peace.
Safikelwa izihlobo ezaziphuma emanzini
And the neighbors that came from
zazohlala
the ocean,
nathi,
they came to live with us here.
kodwa basijikela endleleni,
And on the way, they turned against us.
balwa nathi,
And they fought with us.
basiphuca amalungelo ethu,
And they took our rights.
basicindezela basifaka emajele,
They oppressed us and put us in prisons.
babulala abantu ngoba befuna ukuphanga lelizwe.
They killed people because they wanted to
Benza
take
konke
over
nje
this country.
okubuhlungu kuthina okwaduma ngezwe lodwa ukuthi basicindezela
They
ukuthi sihlupheke.
They did all heinous crimes that would make sure that we remain oppressed and poor.
Basilambisa sasikade singalambi.
And they starved us. Poverty was not a normality before they
Lokho
came.
kwenza ukuthi silunge sinjalo saze nathi saqala phansi salwa nabo ukuzikhulula encindezelweni.
And now we then realized that peace would not be the option, and we started resisting and fighting. So that we can
Sadlula
be free.
kulokho
And then the time for
sakhululeka
resistance
kwathiwa
passed.
sesikhulekile sonke,
And then everyone said, you are all free.
asisahlushwa.
No one is troubling you now anymore.
Kodwa inkinga ekhona ukuthi iningi lethu sisahlupheka sonke.
But the problem still remains. The majority of black people are still poor. We are still poor.
Noma kukhulunywa ngane inhlupheko kukhulunywa ngathi akukhulunywa ngabanye abantu.
When people talk about poverty, it is clear they mean black people.
Uma nje kuthiwa khona unemployment,
If they talk about
akekho
unemployment,
omunye otholakala lapho ngaphandle kwethu.
they mean black and colored people. We are the face of unemployment.
Uma kuthiwa kukhuluma ngabantu abaphuza kakhulu
When they talk about
usuku
alcoholics
nasemini, yithi lapho.
or drunkards, we are the face of this issue.
Uma kuthiwa khona ubugebengu,
If they talk about
Yithi
gangsterism and
lapho.
criminality, we are the face of criminality.
yini ebangela lokho?
What then causes us to be the face
Ingoba
of
basiphuca okungokwethu,
is because they
bakwenza okwabo,
is because they stripped
thina
us
ke
naked of our possessions.
sihlala ngokuhlupheka.
And now we have made poverty our normality.
Sekuphele amashumi amathathu eminyaka sikhululekile.
It's now 30 years having
Kodwa
freedom.
usizi nenhlupheko lusaqhubeka kwabaningi bethu.
But sorrow and poverty is our daily life when it comes to our majority.
Eqinisweni
The truth, therefore, is
kulonyaka
this year
ngibe omunye wabanye othe
I became among the people, therefore, that
ake
said,
sisukume
let's stand up.
singacindezelwa unomphela zonke izizwe
Let us not be
ezazicindezelwa
oppressed.
ezinye zazizilwela.
All nations that faced oppression resisted and fought for their own liberation.
Uma ufunda incwadi engcwele
If you read the Holy Book,
okuningi kuyona kwizimpi zababezilwela bezikhulula
the great majority of the Bible
abagcina bephumelela.
is wars of people who fought to liberate
Okuhle
themselves, fighting for prosperity.
akuzi uma nihleli nje nithi siyahlupheka.
Prosperity will never
Okokugcina.
come while you still gallow in your sorrows and poverty.
Isizwe esicindezela
An oppressed nation or an oppressed group of
uNkulunkulu
people,
uyasivumela ukuthi asisukume sizikhulule.
even God allows that oppressed nation to stand up and fight for its own freedom.
iBhayibheli likhuluma kabanzi ngokuthi
The Bible itself speaks in depth on this topic,
izithandwa zikaNkulunkulu emhlabeni
that the beloved of
Amaqhawe.
God on earth for the victor,
ayekhala kuyena akhulume naye acele amandla ukuba uNkulunkulu sisize sinqobe isitha.
they would cry to God asking for God to help them to overcome the enemy.
uNkulunkulu enamadlebe ezwa wayebasiza laba abacelile.
God having ears, he would listen and he would help those who
Ngiyafisa
asked.
ukuthi nathi
I want therefore to wish that also
singamakholwa
ourselves,
angaka
that we as many believers as we are,
ake simcele uNkulunkulu asisize.
let's ask God to help us out of these situations.
Ake simcele uNkulunkulu asenze sinqobe izitha zethu.
Let's ask God to help us overcome our opponents.
Ngenhlanhla ke
By favor then,
sesalwa ngezikhali kwadlula.
we fought, we used weapons, and that resistance has passed.
Esilwa ngakho manje ivoti.
And what we fight with now is the vote.
Sibaningi
We are the majority, we are many.
thina bantu bomtsinso kuzimilela kulelizwe.
We black and colored people, we are many in this nation.
Lesicela uNkulunkulu aphendule inhliziyo zethu
We therefore must ask God to answer the desires of our heart,
ukuthi njengoba kuhlale kuvotwa nje
that as the vote continues to occur,
ake singavoti nje noma kanjani.
let us not just carelessly cast.
Ake
our votes.
singavotela abangani bethu.
Let's not just vote for our friends.
Ake sivotele thina sonke bantu abamnyama ukuthi uNkulunkulu akasinika amandla lolukhetho oluzayo siluwine nge2/3 majority.
We must therefore ask God that he must give us a victory of 2/3 majority.
Yini ebalulekile kulokho?
Why is this so important?
Kuyosho ukuthi
This will mean
sesizinikeze amandla angaphezulu kwabaningi.
that we've given ourselves more strength than a majority.
Kuyosinikeza ithuba lokuthi sikwazi ukushintsha isimilo sesizwe lethu.
It will give us the opportunity to change the character of our nation.
Kuyosenza ukuthi ngevoti lethu siqede ukuhlupheka nokweswela phakathi kwethu.
And through casting our vote, we will then remove poverty among us.
Kuyosenza ukuthi sishintshe imithetho le esicindezelayo.
It will help us.
Sifake imithetho yethu ezosikhulula.
It will help us challenge and change the laws that oppress us and promulgate new laws that can be able to liberate us.
Ngoba ke ngibona ukuthi
Because therefore I have seen
senziwe ukuthi senze amaqembu amaningi asihlukanisayo singabi nalamandla ahlangene.
that systemically the establishment sets up different parties to divide the black vote so that we cannot be united.
Ngiye ngaba omunye othatha isinqumo sokuthi sakhe iparty ebizwa ngokuthiwa umkhonto wesizwe.
And then I became among the people who took the decision that said we must therefore start a party called Umkhonto Wesizwe.
Le party
This party
iyona ezosikhipha emaketangweni.
is the one that will liberate us from the chains.
Eyakhiwe okhokho bethu
It were our
ngobuhlakani
ancestors who started it
kuthiwa
out of the
i-ANC.
wisdom called the ANC.
abaholi bayikhiphile endleleni
And the
yaphuma
leaders
yathi
took the MK out of
yangasisa lapho kufanele usifike khona.
and it did not take us where we were supposed
Umkhonto
to reach.
wesizwe iwona ozosithatha usibeke endaweni ethandwa yithi
And then
ebusiswe
MK will
uNkulunkulu.
take us to the destination that we want, that is the purpose of God over our lives.
Ileso nje isicelo engithe angisenze
This is
kithina sihlezi la.
This is the only ask that I thought I should deliver to all the believers that are seated in this room.
Kukhona into esingayazi thina esihlala lapha eWestern Cape.
There's something that maybe we may not understand as people, black people who live in the Western Cape.
Ukuthi laba ababesicindezela
That those who oppressed us,
abasasicindezela namanje
who are still oppressing us or responsible for our poverty even till now.
singazi nje thina bafuna ukuyithatha iWestern Cape ibe izwe labo bayihlukanise kwiSouth Africa ngokomncele.
They want to separate the Western Cape and make it an independent country from the rest
Ngoba
of South Africa.
ibaluleke kakhulu
Because
le
economically,
ndawo
the Western Cape is so important.
okuyona into ebaluleke kakhulu kubona bafungafuni nje ukuyiyeka.
To them, it is
The
the
Cape
most
Point.
significant. It is the Cape Point.
Ngoba ilona zibuko lodwa emhlabeni jikelele
Because it is the only
othi
point,
mawuphume kulona ufike noma yiliphi izwe mawuhamba emanzini.
because it is the only point in the globe that you could go past to get to any nation in the world.
Bayalisebenzisa ke ukuthuthena ezomnotho wabo nasekulandeni ezomnotho kwezinye indawo.
Therefore, the global West uses the Cape Point to promote Western economic interests.
Kusho ukuthi ngamanye amagama uma singakwenzi lokho engikushilo
Which means if we don't then respond to the
nizobe
call,
seningabantu belinye izwe lizobe selibizwa ngelinye igama thina sesinga le.
and then in other years you will then see
Asingakuvumi
yourself
ke lokho.
as different people with a different name.
Asihlanganeni njengendle emnyama
We must reject this
sizinikeze
as black people,
isithunzi nenhlonipho
and we must respect each other
nokuthi sibe nesandla ekuphathweni kwezwe lethu.
and have a hand in the governance of our nation.
Sifuna amakhosi ethu
We want our
aphucwa
kings
amandla okuphatha
who were removed their power to
siwayibusele
areas,
lawo mandla emakhosini.
and restore the power of the kings back to the kings.
Kube yithi esithi sizokwenza lokhu hayi lokhu.
And then it becomes us as black people who say we will do that and we will not do this.
Mina ke njengoba ngikhuluma lapha nje
As for myself, as I speak openly,
ngaqala ngisemncane ukulwela inkululeko.
I started at a very young age
Ngathatha
fighting for
isifungo
freedom.
sokuthi ngiyofa ngifela abantu bakithi.
I took an oath that my death will be because of our people.
Namanje ngizimisela ukufa makufuneke ngife ngifela abantu bakithi abamnyama.
And even now in my old age, I don't mind dying for the sake of black people.
Uma kufanele ngiboshwe
If I have to be
ngizimisela
arrested,
ukuthi ngiboshelwe abantu
I am
abamnyama.
ready to be arrested for the sake of our people, black people.
Sengike ngakubona ke lokho.
I've been
Ngangena ejele ngangihlala la ngaphesheya eRobben Island ishumi leminyaka.
I was in
Fakwe
Robben Island for 10
abacindezeli.
years under oppression.
Kodwa futhi la kwidemocracy yethu
And now in our
sengike
democracy,
ngangena ejele inyanga ezishumi nesihlanu sengiboshwa idemocracy.
And-
Ngingenzanga lutho.
and even in democracy, I still got arrested for 10 months during the time of democracy, as innocent as I was.
Lokho kwangibonisa
Then that showed me
ukuthi asikakhululeki ngokwanele.
that we are not free enough.
Ingoba ngimnyama
It's because I'm black.
ukuba ngangimhlophe ngaba ngizange ngilubeke ejele.
If I was white, they would have never taken the stand to put me in prison.
Ingakho nje
This is why
kugcwele emphefumulweni wami ukuthi kufanele ukuthi manje senze into enhle ezojabulisa nomveli nqangi uqobo ukuthi
This is why full in my spirit that we must do something so marvelous that even the creator in heaven will then say,
sisebenzise ivoti lethu lokukhulula izwe lakithi.
we cast our vote to liberate our nation.
Senginihalela kabi nje manginibona nibangaka engathi ngabe la kuvotwa khona.
I
Sivote
am
kanye.
now salivating for your votes now. I wish it was the time of election as we speak.
Ngoba lokhu nje kukodwa masivote sibangaka
Because if we just vote only as this number in this church,
inhlupheko nenkohlakalo njengoba kugcwele into ezonakele enye ziyophela nya
evil and poverty would just vanish.
ngoba ngifisa ukuthi
Because this is my wish.
uma sesiwinile ngoba sizowina
We will win. Therefore, when we win,
sizoqeda ubugebengu eSouth Africa
we will uproot criminality and gangsterism in South Africa.
sizoqeda ukuthi abantwana bethu ngoba mhlawumbe thina abazala sikwazanga ukubafundisa baphume bahlale baphuza utshwala ilanga lonke ithina kuphela isizwe esivumela lokho
We will
abelungu amandiya bonke labo bantu ngeke kubabona abantwana babephuza utshwala nje busuku nemini
the whites, the Indians, they will never let their children lie in the streets drinking the whole day. And therefore, when we come to power, we will stop this problem of alcoholism among young people.
eqinisweni
And this, therefore, is the truth.
laba bantwana
These young people,
siyababulala bafana nabantu abangazange baphile emhlabeni abangazange bezwe ubumnandi bokuhlala emhlabeni esawunikezwe uNkulunkulu
with substance abuse, who are killing these young people. They are like people who've never enjoyed or lived to enjoy life.
sibayekelana abantwana bedakwa ukusukela ekuseni kuze kuyoshona ilanga
How do we allow young people to become alcoholics from the morning till the dawn of another morning?
amandla ethu esingawasebenzisi ukwakha isizwe esiyophila inguna phakade siyasibulala
It is our power that we don't use to build a nation. We are killing the nation when we allow things like that.
iMK party
EMK,
izoshintsha imithetho
it will change the laws.
ngoba lemithetho sinayo intekenteke
Because the laws that we have are too loose.
uyabona nje uhulumeni ophetheyo
The government that is currently in charge,
uthi thina abazali
it says we parents,
ingane zethu singazikhulisi ngalendlela ekufuneka sizikhulise ngazo
we must not have
thina
authority over our own
esakhuliswa
children
ngayo
in the way that we ourselves were raised.
baze banika inamba abayinikeza izingane ukuthi uma umzali wakhe kushaya fonela amaphoyisa
And then they therefore gave a number saying that if your parent disciplines you, call the police.
akekho umuntu ongafundiswa kubo ukuthi abe umuntu
There is no single human being that does not learn behavior from their home.
thina ke sokwenza umthetho ukuthi ingane yakho ikhulise ngendlela ufuna ukuyikhulisa ngayo ihloniphe ibe umuntu kusasa
We will implement a law that says raise your child in the discipline that you see fit so that they may grow up and become a human being tomorrow.
kuhulumeni ozobe holwa ile party yethu umkhonto
A government governed by this
akukho
party.
ngane ezophuza egcekeni ihlala ilanga lonke lapha
There is no child.
zophela nya
There is no child that is going to be drinking in the open. It will stop completely.
uhulumeni
The government,
kufanele ukuthi abe nemali yokufundisa izingane eziqhamuke kuhluphekeni
the
ingathi
government,
ingane ngoba ihluphekile ingakwazi ukuya esikoleni
the government should have money to make sure that children that come from poor homes are able to study, and poverty should not be a stumbling block.
ngoba uma sifundisa izingane zethu
Because if we take our youth,
sakha abazothuthukisa izwe lethu kusasa
if we educate our youth, we build the adults of the future.
sizoshintsha indlela izinto abayifundayo izingane
We will also influence the
abazufunda
curriculum.
izinto abathi uma sebephasa ama-degree bangatholi imisebenzi
They will not just study things that when they've graduated, they have no jobs.
bazofunda izifundo ezizokwenza ukuthi uma engawuthola umsebenzi azakhele owakhe umsebenzi ngoba
They
ufundisiwe
will learn practical education that by the time they finish, If they get no job, they will start their own job by themselves.
ingane
Young
ikakhulukazi zabafana
Particularly young males.
masiqeda umatric
When the young males finish matric,
so iqeda lento eyishiwa abantu abafundile kuthiwa khona uyeya ngani uma gap year or kuthiwa yini
we will just
So qeda.
delete this thing of gap here. We
uma
don't need this
beqeda umatric
Once you finish your matric,
sizobasa ey'nkambeni zamasosha bofundela ubusosha
we will give you 1
1
year
year
to go and be in the military. It will be compulsory.
afundise ukuthi kufanele avikele izwe lakhe
They will be,
fanele ahloniphe isizwe fanele azi ukuthi uyingxenye yalesizwe kufanele asiphathe kahle
they will be taught patriotism, the love and the defense for their nation. And these are the disciplines they will bring from the military.
uma sebetrainile bengamasosha sebazi kahle yonke into abeseke eya university
Once they are
ngeke
trained, and
simvumela athi uyosebenza no university
we will not allow you to go find a job. You must
Kuzobe ku-
go to university.
kuzobe kuuhulumeni ozoyikhipha leyo mali ingadliwa uhulumeni ifundise izingane
It will be the government that will release that money. And that money will make sure that young people go back to university.
sizimisele ukusakha lesizwe siqine
We are determined to building this nation and making it a strong nation.
akho ngane ezogijima lamnyango ezinye ingane zesesikoleni
There is no young person that be running around gallivanting when other young
uma
people are in
kukhona umama othetha nathi sidila naye noma ubaba othetha nathi sidila naye
If there is
ngoba
a
kusho
father-
ukuthi ubulala isizwe
If there is a father or a mother that has a problem with this, we will then deal with the parent because it means they are part of the problem.
umkhonto wesizwe ohlelweni lokwakha isizwe
And this MK is on the path for nation building.
akukho ngane ena 12 years noma 14 noma 15 noma 16 ezothola ingane
There is no teenager
ingaganile
that will be
Ayikho.
pregnant without marriage. That will not happen.
uma nje kuke kwenzeka lokho
If that
leyo
happens,
ngane yomfana nentombazana abakhulelisana
and
sizokwakha i-university eRobben Island away from ezweni bayofunda ngenkani lapha baze baphase baqede
that young man and that young woman, we will have a university in Robben Island. That is where they will go to school. They will study there and live there until finish and grow up.
ngiyethemba ukuthi siyezwana
I hope you are hearing me very well.
ngicabanga
I think
bishop wami
my
ukuthi
bishop,
senze umsebenzi kaNkuluNkulu ke manje sizithunywa zikaNkuluNkulu lokwangempela
we are now doing God's work now. That's when you know that we are really doing God's work.
ngoba uNkulunkulu akabafuni labantu abakhona njengamanje ngoba benziwa ngamabomu abelungu ngoba bebulala isizwe simnyama
And all these issues, they are deliberate. It's whites, they are killing the black nation.
ngithe ngeke ngidlule senginithole niphelele kangaka nginganitshenanga lokho
I told you that I will never pass without telling you these issues.
ngoba uma sicabanga ukuthi ku right lokho
If we think,
Sonke
the
la.
social, if we think that the social issues we are
uma
facing
sifuna
are right,
ukushintsha izwe lethu libe izwe eliphilayo
if we can change our nation and make it into a living nation,
leli golide nedayimane elikhishwayo lifakwa olwandle lihamba thina sizolumisa lizuphuma la
the gold and the diamond that lives this nation, we will stop that. No mineral
ngoba
resources will-
elethu
because it belongs to
lisuka
us.
la liyocebisa abantu kude thina sibe sihlupheka
It comes from here and makes others wealthy while we remain poor here.
thina masiqeda nje
Once we are
ngemva kwenyanga ezimbili
after 2
lezi
months,
esayisele sesiwinile ngoba sowina masiba ngaka sikwazi ungawini
we will win if we are this many. There is no way we can lose.
sizokwakha amafemu
We will build
okufanele
firms.
ukuthi aprocesse igolide nesiliva la eSouth Africa kubo kwalo
We will build refineries for mineral resources that will refine here in South Africa.
yingakho nje sifuna abantwana bethu bafunde ukwenza lo msebenzi ozonothisa izwe lethu
This is why we want our young people to be educated so that they can do these jobs that are specified. That will make sure that our nation is known.
So iqeda lento yokuthi uma sengikhulile kufanele ukuthi ngisuke kithi ngihambe ngiyosebenza le kude ngishiya ifamily yami kukhule ingane ezisale zizalwa ngingekho zingamazi ngisho ubaba
We will stop.
ngoba sihlala le kuthi ngamzukwane ebuya ubaba ingane ibaleke ishone le ithi mama nansi inunu ingena nansi inunu ngoba ikwazi.
We will stop this where you are educated and you are forced to go study in areas that are far from your family. By the time you are entering, your own child does not know you. He mistakes you for a snake.
Umama uzolokhu eyincenga ingane ikutshena ukuthi ubaba ilokhu ingibheka ithi ngemboni kahle.
And the mother will then be saying, this is your
Yahlehla
father.
ingane
The
ngoba
child will be
imazi
looking at
ubaba.
you.
Ngoba ubaba imazi.
Because the child does not recognize the
Kodwa
father.
ingane yomlungu yenze njani uma ingena ubaba?
When-
Daddy,
when the young white child is
ngoba
coming-
uyamazi.
A white child will be crying daddy because the white child knows who the father is.
Sizokhipha ama-firms wakhe la kwakhe khona abantu ezilalini
We will build
ukuze bakwazi
factories.
ukusebenza eduze bangahambi ohlala kude babe nemizi emibili bahole kancane inhlupheko yodwa leyo.
We will build factories in the rural areas so that our people don't leave their homes to go work in far areas and end up having two homes. And then because of poverty, they cannot maintain either.
Uma sikhumbula kahle yithi sodwa abantu abamnyama esisebenza kude namakhaya ethu. Zonke ezinye izizwe zihlala la zisebenza la khona amafemu. Sizokwenza ke lokho thina umkhonto wesizwe.
And if you recognize it is only us black people who work far from our families, and all the other ethnicities, they work close to their own families. We will change that by building these factories in rural areas so that you can work at home.
Ngamanye amazwi
In other words,
sifuna ukuqedelela inkululeko iphelele sikhululeke sizizwe ukuthi ezweni lethu yithi esiphetheyo.
we want to accomplish the gains of freedom so that we can have the dignity to walk around knowing that we are the ones in charge here at home.
Uyabona ke uma singahluleka kule game sengiyogeza izandla.
You see, if we are
Ngiyogeza
defeated
izandla
this
impela
time,
ngithi hawu kanti sinjani weba kwethu. Isikhathi sesifikile ukuthi sizikhulule nya sisangena thina la endlini emnyama. No, akungenzeki lokho.
that must not happen.
Siyavumelana bakwethu.
Are we agreeing on this?
Oh nifuna ukusala la.
Or you want to remain in the same position?
Siyavumelana.
Are we agreeing on these issues?
Siyavumelana ukuthi sikhulula ngevoti lethu.
Are we agreeing that we will free ourselves?
Thank you. Bonga kakhulu.
I'm so grateful.
Thank you very much.
Enkosi
Ngiyabonga
kakhulu.
Bishop.
Enkosi kakhulu, Bishop.
Ngizizwa ngimnandi.
I feel full.
Thank you very much.
Enkosini kakhulu.
Bathi ahlabelele. Bathi bacela uhlabelele baba.
The people are asking you to sing, sir.
Bathi bacela uthi umhla sibuyayo.
They're just asking you to just sing one song.
Ngiyabonga.
Thank you.
Baba. Mhlawumbe Lomhla sibuyayo, lomhla sibuya, lomhla sibuyayo, kuthula kuthi. Lomhla sibuya, lomhla sibuya, lomhla sibuyayo, kuthula kuthi. Kokhan, okuduma umbambai phezulu kwentaba. Kokhan uFoster, Okal usmiti koduma embamba phezu Lumhla sibuya Lumhla sibuya Lumhla sibuyayo Kuthula kuThixo Lumhla sibuya Lumhla sibuya Lumhla sibuyayo Kuthula kuThixo Kokha Koduma embamba phezulu ulungile umshini wami umshini wami we baba awulethu umshini wami umshini wami we baba awulethu umshini wami umshini wami we baba umshini wami we baba Hayi wena uyangibambezela umshini wami we baba Hayi wena Mposi ungibambezela umshini wami we baba awulethu umshini wami umshini wami we baba awulethu umshini wami we baba hayi wena uyangibambezela umshini wami we baba hayi wena Mposi ungibambezela umshini wami